Hello, class. My name is Nathan Hunt, and for my A Long Way Gone by Ishmael Bia, I did chapters 10 through 14. And I'll just do a brief overview of all the chapters and what happened in each chapter. And then at the end, I'll ask my questions, which I have 4 of. All right, so we'll get started here. So in chapter 10, I had, so kind of a brief overview of that is that in that chapter, Ishmael and his group, they're traveling, and the kind of common theme is that he's always having happy memories with his family. He's trying to think of happy memories with his family, and they're playing games, trying to take their minds off of the war, and then like the sorrow of missing their family. And then we also get the major event that happened was the death of Sadu. When they ate a bird that's what they propose is probably what happened to kill Sadu, and they have a lot of grief and a real sorrow, and they set a funeral for him inside the village, and they have a real good ceremony and everything for him, and in chapter 11 they meet a guy that Ishmael knows from his village named Gismu. He actually knows where his family is at, where Ishmael's family is at, and so they leave to go to that town. And right when they get there, rebels start attacking the town, and presumably they have killed everyone. And so Ishmael thinks his family is dead, and so he has a lot of anger there, and he gets very angry. Hits it Gismu. They have a fight, and then all of a sudden more rebels show up, and they leave. As they're fleeing, Gismu gets shot and he ends up dying, and that kind of ends the chapter there. And then through these chapters you can start to see that Ishmael starts getting a lot angrier. His death is kind of more common to him as these chapters are starting to go on. And then in chapter 12, they're captured by this military militia, and they're really nice to them at first. They're giving them food and water, and actually being pretty nice to them, always helping them out. And then all of a sudden, rebels are starting to surround the village that this militia is at. So children start to get recruited into that militia. And this is where we first started like a brainwashing effect, where these leaders they start to make it more common. They think that they really put it in the kids' heads that these rebels are bad people, and these are the people that killed your families. Look what they've done to all these people. And so that brainwashing effects happen. And then we started this child training, which is the first step into creating these children into soldiers. And then in chapter 13, they actually start to get deployed into battle. And then we start to see the death of Josiah and Musa, part of the group. And during that fight, you kind of see that Ishmael, while he does feel sad for Josiah's and Musa's death, he doesn't mourn them that long, and you can start to see that decline there. And then Ishmael actually kills for the first time, which at first he is actually very. It affects him quite greatly, and he uses drugs. The older soldiers end up giving him drugs to actually take his mind off these things, and that kind of concludes chapter 13. And then in chapter 14, you can start to see that these drugs are he's starting to get dependent on these to be able to cope, and so he's he gets start to be numb to the killing. He kills a lot more people, and he doesn't mourn the losses. He kind of almost doesn't even feel anything for the people that he's killing, because he feels like he's killing the people that killed his family, and so he has no remorse when he starts to kill people. They start stealing from civilians, and then we almost see like, which I'll go into more questions about, and then you can kind of see that he's almost become like a soldier in himself. They start executing rebels one by one, and it's just you can just start to see that we're starting to lose. Ishmael's starting to lose himself. He doesn't think about his family that much anymore, because he does think they're presumably dead, but he doesn't think of happy memories anymore. He's mostly just think on revenge, and which is a very bad coping mechanism, which I also have a question for. So, in regards to the questions, number one, describe the major events that happened to Ishmael that caused his decline into a child soldier over these chapters. Because, like I said, you can kind of see that every chapter there's supposed to be a gradual decline into what as he becomes a soldier. And I just want to hear what events you think sparked him to start on that decline to being a full-blown soldier. Number two, what brainwashing strategies does the militia use to conform these children into soldiers of war? So I want to just hear like some strategies that the militia uses to conform these soldiers to soldiers, children into soldiers, and because I want to hear what you think, the type of stuff that they actually use to turn these children into soldiers. So number three, is there a difference between the two warring sides? So what I'm trying to get at here is the rebels and the militia that Ishmael is in. You can kind of see the militia side that Ishmael's on. They kind of tell him the difference between the rebels and them, but when you start to get look more and more into it, there isn't really much of a difference between the two warring sides and what they're doing to people in the other side that they meet. And then you also see in the warring side that they are actually doing some of the same things. So I kind of want to hear what you guys think about that. If not, name some differences. If not, name some similarities, and if so, name some differences in the two warring sides. I just want to hear your guys' thoughts about that. And then lastly, question 4, what are some negative coping strategies that Ishmael uses to deal with the violence he has seen? So here, I want to hear what is he doing to cope with the deaths he's seen when the proposed deaths of his family, and why you deem those negative to coping, and just want to hear your thoughts about that. And then a side kind of question on that is, have you noticed any negative coping strategies you have used in these difficult times, as in like COVID-19 times? Has there been anything that you've noticed that negative in yourself that you've been doing to cope with these difficult times, or something you've seen in the news that's negative that people are using to cope? And I just want to hear your thoughts about that as well. Try to respond to each other, listen to each other's responses, and I want to hear a lot of conversation. I'm going to probably be responding to you guys as well to gather more discussion and maybe ask some more questions. So I'll be looking at my responses as well, so that we can keep on going with this discussion. Thank you very much.